September 28th, runs through October 10th. This is our Necrom celebration where you can earn some really, really cool rewards. So we're going to be going through all the details a little bit later in the stream, so be sure and stay tuned because we are going to tell you what the rewards are for this. Now, everything that we are talking about in today's stream for Update 40, we are excited to say is coming to the public test server on Monday, September 18th.
Oh my gosh.
So we'll have all the patch notes going up that morning. It'll be available for you to try out on the PTS in just a few days. After we are finished with today's stream, we are going to be kicking it over to our stream team member, Deltia, who will be hosting a post-show, and Finn will actually be joining to answer a few questions from everything that you see today. All right, so let's get right into everything. Update 40. What does that mean for players that maybe aren't super familiar with our update cadence? What are these updates?
An update is essentially just the wrapper for all of the work that is completed in a particular period of time. So
hello, everyone, by the way. I'm still getting everything
40,
set up on
crazy
my
when you think
end
about it. We've done 40 updates in 9
I
years.
just got home, just got on my lunch
quarterly,
break from work, able to flex the rest of the
it's
day.
It's actually more than 4 a year.
I want to be able to.
So yeah, this is just a
Everything
huge
sorted.
thing for us.
So don't mind
It's
me.
a really big, important thing to try to update the game as much as possible. And give players, a good experience as possible.
I'm gonna turn the volume up. Let me know how the
We've done
volume sounds for them.
39 updates so
At
far.
their volume
it's
just
every
changed.
quarter.
Really nuts.
And
That's a lot.
you look back at it and all the stuff that we've done over the years. Like we have a spreadsheet of Doom in the office that Phil actually Phil Draven has put together, and it just lists all the player-facing things that we've done. And looking back at it, you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't base game. Like, oh yeah, we released that 6 years ago at this point now, right? Like it's just crazy how much the game has changed.
I will say that time has a new meaning anyway lately. Like,
True.
Everything that
Very
happened
true.
in 2017, I'm like, it was 2 years ago. No, that was 6 years ago. It's unbelievable.
True.
We should share that spreadsheet of Doom. That sounds...
I agree. It's awesome, and I think we should.
Maybe we can rename it before we do that, though.
Yeah, we should.
So as we mentioned, this is coming to PTS on Monday. We do want to let you know that everything you see from Update 40 is going to go live October 30th for PC and Mac, and then November 14th for Xbox and PlayStation consoles. So you don't have to wait long to get your hands on this content. All right, so now...
Add closed captioning.
So now let's get into all the things that are coming in
There we
Update
go.
40, right? We're going to talk about Endless Archive in a little bit, but first, let's talk about some things that we think players are going to be pretty excited about. One of which is something that we first talked about at the ESO celebration in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so we've actually been teasing this a little bit in a number of things, and it's the Grandmaster crafting stations. And this is our solution to a problem that has slowly been getting worse over the years. We have 77, I think, craftable sets in game. And
Guildmasters, is that accurate? Are there 70 sets? You guys probably know better than everybody else developing those homes.
So when you start to do the math, there's 4 sets or 4 stations per set, one for blacksmithing, one for jewelry crafting, one for woodworking, and one for leatherworking and clothing. That's like 300 some odd, 308 unique stations that you have to put in your home. That basically fills your home.
I mean, that's what it looks like.
There you go, right, yeah.
Right, perfect example.
So it's this sea of crafting stations.
Perfect example.
And so we wanted to come up with a way that reduced that impact on players, that are super invested into this, guildmasters, crafters, but also not eliminate all of that hard work and effort that people have put into collecting all these things. So we came up with Grandmaster crafting stations. And what they are is, and you can see some concepts of them, they are a unique crafting station per crafting skill line. So there's one for blacksmithing, one for leatherworking and clothing and jewelry crafting and woodworking. And you essentially feed the attuned stations to this crafting station. So you will only ever have 4 crafting stations in your home from now on. And there's
it's like Little Shop of Horrors.
Right. they upgrade as you go through. So as you start to reach certain thresholds of known set stations that have been consumed, I guess, the station starts to fill out more, and then there's a really cool effects at the very end that says, "Hey, I've collected them all." And so it's just a really cool way to kind of solve a problem while still also respecting and showing people just how important that grind was.
I do think that's the best
You will
way
be
to
able to
handle
buy
that.
them for RITs or RIT vouchers, so it's part of the crafting thing. I think it's a really elegant solution, and players are going to be really, really happy about this.
See how excited they are?
Yeah, chat's going
They're-
crazy.
They're
yeah,
happy.
awesome.
They are
Yeah.
happy.
And it is really going to reduce like the footprint of crafting and housing.
Yeah, now it's only ever 4 stations from here on out.
That's so great.
You know, it's slowly been getting worse. Like I said, you know, it's
right.
slowly, you know, you start doing that math, it's always 4x, and now it's
Right.
just 4
Yeah,
forever.
that's so good.
That's awesome. So there are also some changes coming to jewelry crafting
There are.
that we would like to talk about too.
Yeah, so this is another one of those that we've gotten a lot of
your happy
feedback.
dance?
I'm
Over
so
there?
happy. I'm so happy. I have so much jewelry that's stuck at purple or blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of feedback from the community on this. And when we first launched jewelry crafting in Somerset, so that's like 2018, the goal was this system really caters to kind of the high end, the end game players, those that have a little bit more extra wealth. And we definitely
That
hit
makes
that
sense.
mark. We maybe over-tuned it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we want to get jewelry crafting into line with all the other crafting skill lines. So we did a complete rebalance of the system. And I apologize now if I go into like really deep dive stuff, but I really want to explain what we worked on and what we did. So the way the system works right now is there are dusts, and that's essentially the raw ore, and you refine that into ounces, and sometimes you get a grain, and then you need some number of grains in order to convert that into a plating, and they're all really rare, and it's time consuming, and it's a pain in the rear. So what we decided to do is we're completely removing grains. Grains are gone. No more grains. It's only going to be platings from here on out. That already instantly reduces kind of the load.
For sure.
But as a part of that, we're going through, I see chats going crazy.
Oh, what?
And I'm sure at this point there's going to be a run on all the guild traders
Oh, yeah,
now.
right.
Like,
It's like,
They're
people,
already,
you know,
they're already
Get
launching.
your dust now. I'm
Hold
telling
on,
her,
there's
get your
more
grains
to
now.
this.
Get your grains
Oh.
now.
There's way more to this. So again, like we did with the Grandmaster crafting stations, we know that players have built up an inventory of these grains and dusts and whatnot. So we want to respect that work and that effort. So there's going to be a conversion process that goes into place. So grains are going to be renamed ancient grains, and existing platings are going to be renamed ancient platings. And when you log in, they are going to get converted. So a grain will get converted 1-to-1 to a plating, to a new plating. So if you had 10 grains, you're going to have 10 platings. If you had 10 platings, they're going to get converted at a 10-to-1 ratio. So you will get 10 new platings. Most players are not going to see this conversion. They'll get notified, and they'll just see the new ones.
Right.
Because we're going to auto-convert everything in your inventory. But stuff that's not in your inventory...
So this will make jewelry crafting actually feasible for newer players to actually upgrade jewelry. Jewelry's always been one of those things where you're really only upgraded on the sets that are really, you know that you're going to use for forever. There's a lot of PvE sets that people will take into endgame trials because they're like, I'm not fucking spending $500,000, million plus gold to upgrade my jewelry. This will fix that.
The system has also been balanced to be more in line with the other crafting skills. So if you have all of your perks put into improvements, now it's going to cost 8 platings in order to upgrade to gold jewelry.
Like tempers and
Like
kudos
tempers
stuff.
and kudos and whatnot. So we've also gone through and kind of looked at master writs and writs just in general to make sure that they're in line. So I actually think we got rid of the blue versions of the jewelry crafting writs just because they're going to be worthless in the new system. And they were kind of a stopgap to kind of help with the balance being so out of whack. And then we also did a pass on the golden vendors as well, just to make sure that the costs there were all, you know, in line. So a huge rebalance effort. It's
Go back
something
one
that
second.
is going to get a lot more players into the system. It's a lot more accessible now. And hopefully, if we've done our math right, we should see, you know, things level out and get more consistent with the other skill lines.
Look, I know that was a lot. Right?
I apologize.
That
all
was
be in the
a
patch
word
notes.
dump. That was
guys-
a word dump of information.
We
right?
know you guys need a minute.
Yeah, right? That is all going to be in
I
the patch notes
apologize.
explained, so you can kind of read it through on Monday. Take some
I
time.
had the volume turned up on my TV so that I could hear because I had air going on in the background. So you probably heard that twice. I apologize.
We're talking about good stuff here, right? One more thing. that Rich would like to talk about that is coming
Oh,
with update
one more
40.
thing.
One more thing.
What?
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, so we have a new system that we're putting in that we've kind of been really good at keeping under wraps for a while.
We have.
And I think it's going to be easier for me to kind of show it rather than tell it. So I'm going to jump in game here. Hopefully at some point we can swap over to in-game.
I disagree, Darlene. I think it will be the opposite. But we'll talk about it at the end.
The new Group Finder tool.
Group Finder.
So we have a Group Finder tool now.
That's cool.
So we still have the Dungeon Finder. This is still in place. This is still you know, pick your role, you hit join queue, and it's a random roll. What the Group Finder is a new tool for players to be able to advertise their groups for other players to go in and.
I like this a lot. Being able to advertise custom groups for PvP, Endless Archive, Trials, Arenas has been needed for a while, and I think this is an awesome solution to that problem. So this is great. I love this. It's very simplistic, but it's great.
Any kind of content you want. It's really up to you.
Yeah, it's really not just trials or dungeons. Like you have it highlighted there. PvP. This is easier to go into Cyrodiil.
I do kind of wish that they had made social, like instead of custom, which granted could be anything. I wish they had made social its own category. I do think that there are a lot of people that just like to do random BS, but it's still a great change, or still a great addition.
Sorry, Endless Archive.
Ethereum Archive.
Ethereum Archive. Yeah. I can go in.
The other thing, too, somebody made an interesting point. Writs for jewelry are about to be absolutely insane. I guarantee you they're going to have to be changed. They did talk about changing them, but imagine if the price of jewelry plummets, you're going to be able to do those amazing jewelry writ books for crazy amounts of, writ value.
Acquired what roles we're looking for. Finn's a tank, so we're probably going to need 3.
Tanks?
Yeah,
it's probably accurate. It's probably accurate.
He's playing.
And then we can post the group. And then this goes into a list, and anybody can see this, and they can apply for the group. The group leader gets notified that somebody's...
I also apologize. My face is in the way. Here you go.
Petition to join the group.
That's the,
I can actually set auto-accept requests,
guys
so you
can
can
see
just
what they're
automatically go in there and get it. And yeah, there's
you guys
lots
keep the
of
border
lots of
where my
really
face
cool
would be.
functionality
Imagine
in this.
seeing it.
And I really can't wait for players to get this in their hands. It's going to solve a lot of problems. We've talked to players over the years. Trial Finder, give us
Trial Finders, but yeah, Trial Finder's been the biggest one.
And
Absolutely.
this was our solution to that because
there's more control. There's more control.
More
So
control,
much more than in Dungeons Trials, you kind of want that control. So this gives us a better controllable thing.
And this is also going to be a huge.
Do you think that they're going to address crown trading in this video? I think it'd be great if they did. They could certainly win a lot of publicity points with me if they did.
Just grouping in general.
Right. Craglorn is. I know I saw somebody mention it. Craglorn's going to be so quiet. So quiet now.
Yep.
So quiet.
Yep.
So if you're just tuning into the stream, we're just kind of going over some features and things that are coming in our next update, which is update 40. Just to kind of recap everything that Rich just went over, we have the new Grandmaster crafting stations, which is going to give you a lot more flexibility in your home. You're going to go from like 300 odd sets all the way down to 4, which is awesome. We also have some changes coming to jewelry crafting, making them more player-friendly, just by bringing it much more in line with the other crafting skills, and we're removing grains. And then what Rich just talked about, which is this new group finder, letting you essentially advertise your group when you're looking for more people or set specific parameters like roles and champion points, the type of content you're doing,
live
things
stream.
like that. So I
How's it going,
think what we
Snog?
should move on to is what people are really excited to hear about, which is Endless Archive.
Endless Archive.
What is that?
What is
This is
Endless
something
Archive?
that we have kind of touched on over the past few months, given little tidbits here and there. But Finn, what is Endless Archive?
Yeah, so Endless Archive is a brand new gameplay experience for Update 40. You can venture in here solo or with a companion or with a friend. The goal here is you're tasked by Hermaeus Mora to venture into this bizarre location that's chaotic and put it right. It is roguelike inspired, so for those players that don't know what roguelike is, so you can kind of get an idea of how that is. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. We're going to show it, and you're going to see how kind of all those systems work. It is systemically endless, which means...
That sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge. You're in here for as long as you're good
boy.
enough. So you fight and survive random arenas against random monsters, random bosses pulled from all over Tamriel, and the difficulty continuously increases until it probably becomes too much for people. We'll see how. We'll see how.
Like I said,
how
there's the
far they
challenge.
go. Yeah,
I
that's
can't
the
wait to
challenge.
see,
That's the
right,
challenge
you
for
know.
sure.
So we've seen a lot of questions since we first mentioned Endless Archive a few months ago,
Yes.
how players can access this content.
Yes.
And the good news is it's not a DLC.
This is not a DLC. This is a base game update. So everybody that
Glad to hear it, Rambo.
can jump right in from day one and play this from the jump. I mean,
Yep.
and if you have the Necrom chapter, you can go to Apocrypha, where this place is. And if you don't, you can just go to your map and then click on
open
the
it up and
icon
go
and,
in and
open,
there you
and
go.
jump
Yep.
right in. Yep.
Or I was just gonna say,
Or you could use the group finder.
you
Yeah,
could
use
Oh,
the
I
group
was going to
finder
sound like,
tool.
what's the other way?
and get some.
He threw us for a
friend
loop
way
there,
to
right?
go.
Like,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
Now, the natural follow-up question is, what does that mean for ESO Plus members?
yeah, and that's a good question. So ESO
Thank
Plus
you.
already ESO Plus already affords you a 10% XP gain. So in Endless Archive, you have an additional bonus. You get an additional archival fortunes, which is the new currency that's available in Endless Archive. We're going to show those a little bit later and go over that. But you do have that bonus. And actually, if you mouse over your ESO Plus.
So do you guys like that? It's a base game feature, but ESO Plus members get higher currency in there. So everyone gets access to it. There's no paywall, but ESO Plus members do get a bonus to currency. Thoughts?
Now, so ESO, as we mentioned earlier, ESO is 9 years old, so there's a lot of content that we have built, and this gives us an opportunity to showcase some of that content for players that have seen it before, but this is in a brand new way. Like I said, you can come in here solo or duo, and so seeing some of the trial and dungeon bosses that you maybe fought with 2 or with 4 or 12 players, now you're gonna have to fight it with 2 players or maybe even solo. But not only that, we also have content from all over Tamriel that we're pulling in here. So you're gonna find some quest bosses, you're gonna find some group bosses, you're gonna find delve and public dungeon spaces. So.
Yeah, and the intent with this is it's a little bit more systemic and a little bit
for sure.
There's a little bit more meat on the bone, so to speak. You know, and that a lot of players, we get feedback where they love the dungeons, but they're kind of one and done. They go in there, they do the content, they get the drops they want, and then they're done with it. Well, with this, because it's systemically endless,
right?
And there's tons of stuff in here to kind of earn and get and learn. It's a little bit meatier, and so there's more content for players to kind of dig into.
And to touch on Duo a little bit, we've had that request since Maelstrom really came out.
Yeah.
To
it's
do
definitely not a
Duo
foreign
content.
concept.
Yeah, to do Duo content. So this is when Maelstrom first came out. It was originally planned.
Fun
to be,
fact.
A fun fact. Maelstrom originally came out. It was designed to be solo, duo, or 4 players. And as development went on, as happens, we had to make sure that the features.
What type of stuff are you asking if they showed you? They showed a little bit of the Dungeon Finder, the new writ system, and whatnot. Thank you for the resub for the tier 1 for 4 months, Rambo, by the way. Almost missed that.
What's the story behind this place?
So this is part of the Shadow over Morrowind story arc. You are tasked by Hermaeus Moore to come in here in the Endless Archive, and there's chaos reigning in here. And Master Malkest, who is his chosen agent in here, is going to give you a quest that to track down the chaos-causing entity, which is a Daedra, a very powerful Daedra by the name of Thoat Replicanum.
Glad you said that.
Yeah, right. She is, like I said, she's causing chaos. She's kind of delving into the books here.
It sounds like pay to win, right? But also, I'm happy that it's free, if that makes sense. Like, I'm happy that, you know, if I want to come back to ESO after not playing for a while, I can do that.
It does touch on the Shadow over
So I do like that, and I do like that everyone gets access to it. So everyone will be able to do it.
Necrom is not required, so you can just
You know,
jump right in, even if.
I guess it depends on how much of a bonus it is, because obviously you get a 10% XP buff for ESO Plus. So is this equivalent to just like another 10%, you know, currency drop, you know, like a Telvar drop or whatever?
On how this works. Right. There are a lot of
And is that a fair exchange too? Would people rather they not have to buy a feature to then get a permanent, you know, buff in it, you know, if they have ESO Plus?
So the way the basic breakdown for this is it breaks down into stages, cycles, and arcs. You start in stages, you fight waves of monsters, and then progress to the next stage. After you've fought 3 stages, you then get a boss stage. After you've completed and killed that boss, again, these monsters and the bosses are pulled from all over Tamriel. We have 60+ bosses that we've curated from all over Tamriel. Once you've fought
60?
that boss, that ends a cycle. Once you've done 5 cycles, you then fight Thoat Replicanum.
The big bad.
And she ends what's called an arc. Now, each of these stages will increment difficulty a little bit, cycles a little bit more, and arcs even more. So
that's actually a really good call out difficulty-wise.
Difficulty-wise,
Yeah.
for sure. So you complete. You could be like I said. You could tackle this anyway. You could tackle this solo, with a friend or with a companion, and you can play this systemically forever. Now, what that means is you have only a certain amount of lives, and what they're called threads of fate. And once your threads of fate are cut, and for those players that remember the original trial implementation, once your lives were out, once your lives remaining was gone, you can no longer respawn, and then you can be resurrected or anything like that. That's the way threads of fate work here. Once you are out of threads, you go back to the entrance, and your run is done, and then you'll have to start over.
Yeah, and
There's a life cap.
Kind of changed things up a little bit here too. You know, the other arenas were more focused on time and speed, and with Endless Archive, we wanted to focus more on build diversity
For sure.
and giving players a little bit
Here she
more
is.
opportunity to kind of play around and learn and do things. So leaderboard, scoreboard-wise, they're not time-based anymore.
There is not. This is not a time component, and that's actually directly related to the feedback that we got from a lot of players, as they were said, hey, I really would love to enjoy this, but I play a tank or I play a healer, and I want more ways to engage this, and I can't do Maelstrom because it's all time-based and stuff. So we wanted to hone in on those players so that you have a choice now in building your perfect duo. You can bring a tank, or you can bring a healer.
Take your time.
And you can take
you
your
can
time.
explore, you can enjoy
And
it,
actually, it's beneficial that you do take your time. When we get into it later, we'll show you all about that.
Makes it a little more accessible
Yes.
this way, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about monsters?
So I mentioned this a little bit earlier. The monsters are curated from. You're going to see sets of monsters from various pieces of content. You got some, Silver Rose monsters, some vampires, some goblins. And
This assault that I'm getting right now from this cat is what it's like when I'm video recording. You just wax around the microphone.
As I talked about, it's not just trial and dungeon bosses. You're going to find
There's story bosses.
You're going to find story bosses. You're going to find public dungeon champions, world bosses, and taking these and then curating them and then using them for this experience. The team is kind of reworked some of the abilities, so it'll be iconic and you'll remember. So if you're used to fighting these things, it's gonna make sense what they're doing. It'll feel familiar, but it's different because it's for 2 players.
Yeah, I mean, thematically, they're going to do the same kinds of things, but they have to work in this space,
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
so.
Familiar but different.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so contrary to other type of instance content, there's no normal or veteran version.
Correct.
That is a big one.
That is a big one. There is no normal or veteran here. Everybody is in the same.
No normal or veteran, too. What do you guys think about that? No normal or veteran. There's no difficulty multiplier.
Or dual players or players with a companion are going to get further than solo players, and that's fine. Also, it allows you, let's say you come in here solo, and you start fighting through for a little bit, and you notice you're getting pretty tough. Oh, you know what? I'm going to bring in my friend. And then that friend's going to jump in here and be able to help you out and keep carrying.
I never would have guessed that there wouldn't have been a tiered system. That's interesting.
Or duo. But that's the same difficulty. And I think once people see how the system works, they're going to realize they're also going to see why that decision was made.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So what does all of that mean for leaderboards?
Leaderboards are segmented into solo or duo. So if you come in here solo and you stay solo through the entirety of your run, and so all your threads are gone, you will be put on the solo leaderboard. But the minute you summon a companion or bring a friend in, you're then put on the duo leaderboard, and you can't go back to the solo leaderboard, so people can't cheese it.
Right.
Yeah, cheese
Not like
it.
anybody would ever.
Oh, yeah,
rewards
that'd
yet.
be the first patch we would have. So no cheesing and stuff like that. Once you
Subscription
bring 2 people in there, you're always on the duo leaderboard.
Probably said that wrong.
So in previous content, we've given players the ability to choose different types of buffs that they want to use.
Right.
Endless Archive has something similar. Again, similar but different.
Right. So, harkening back to the roguelike roots that we have here. So every run is going to be different, and we wanted that kind of individualized chance so that every time you come in here, you're experiencing something new. So we have Hermaeus Mora is going to help you out with verses and visions. As you complete a stage, you are given a choice of a verse, and you have a choice of 2 verses, and the 2 verses are chosen from random. and you make that choice, and it's basically a buff that lasts for the next stage. These are really impactful, short duration buffs that are really going to help you. So the idea being that after you complete a stage, you kind of know where you're going. You're like, okay, I want to choose the best version of the best possible verse I can choose. And then visions are long duration buffs, and those are chosen at the end of cycles or at the end of arcs, and you choose that, and that persists. Those are stackable. They're a little bit less impactful than verses, and they're stackable, and you get those persist through the entirety of the rest of your run. So you have two means to change up your run as you're going.
I'm going to tell you all right now, this makes a lot more sense when you see it in game.
It
Trust
does.
That's why we're
me,
gonna
like,
show it.
we're going to
That's
show
why
it in just a moment.
Yeah.
Like the first time I heard all this from Finn, I'm like, it's a lot of
Yeah.
But it makes sense
It
once
does.
you see
It does. It does.
And we are going to be hopping in game in just a minute. But
Sure.
first, we know a lot of people are at,
You
like
see it in
literally
chat.
right
Look,
now,
chat's
asking
going,
about
that's the
rewards.
rewards. Yeah.
Let's touch on the rewards real quick, the types of things that you can get from this.
I know.
So there's multiple mechanisms for rewards here. I mentioned archival fortunes earlier. That is a new currency, and that's going to unlock, and that's going to be how you kind of get the majority of the rewards. We are going to have class sets. We had talked about it. Some idiot in Germany linked that.
Yeah,
I don't know who
that
that was.
loudmouth.
Some loudmouth linked the idea of class sets. But those are available in here. But you have two ways to get those. You can use your archival fortunes and save up and buy those at there's specialized vendors in here.
Yep.
Or you can get them as drops
Yep.
from Thoat herself, or possibly other means.
That's begging to
other
be used as a screenshot.
And there's also other
or
collectibles
thumbnail.
in here. That's not just class sets. There are things in here that are going to help you specifically on your run. So you have scrolls that will grant you an extra verse for the stage that you're currently on. You have account unlocks which will forever help you further in future runs. So there's a lot of stuff in here that players will be able to experience and
This is
stuff.
the most amount of rewards we've ever put in
Yeah.
a piece of content
Yeah,
before.
It
Like,
is.
it's
there's a
lot.
ton.
There's a
of
ton of
stuff
stuff in here. Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting.
And we're going to show you all just a list of a lot of the rewards when we hop in game, which, speaking of which, I think we should do.
I think we
yeah?
should
That's
do
a good
that,
idea.
too.
So we are going to get prepared to get into the game. We need to step away for just a moment just to kind of get some things rearranged here so we can bring Lauren into play too. We're going to show you that teaser trailer of Endless Archive one more time while we get set up, and then we will be back with some live gameplay, so stick around.
Go. This is all music. So what do we think so far? So this is their teaser trailer essentially for the archive itself. The thing I'm curious about is there's no normal versus veteran, which I think is a very interesting decision. Earn unique rewards. We knew they'd be unique. They're always unique. New is unique. So it's basically you have a certain amount of lives. Once you go past that, you can't respawn. And there's rewards. They're class specific, but there's also a currency. What I'm thinking is you earn this currency, and then you're able to buy these class specific sets. They'll probably be, a rotation of them. Make sure you link your Twitch account.
Tentacular tome emote. Can we just use the word tentacular as an adjective forever?
All the time.
Because I
All the
kind of love
time.
it, right?
Ever since that came up, the team has been using it all
Yes,
the time.
tentacular.
It's memes. They're memes
tentacular.
everywhere in the
I
office.
like it. I like it. So
If you don't
we are
see the
back.
chat, she's right
We've
here.
somehow just rearranged everything
Yes.
in about 60
amazing.
seconds, which was amazing.
Quick change.
And we
Quick
have Lauren
change.
here now.
Hey, Lauren.
Hi.
So welcome to Lauren Kaiser. She is an associate encounter designer on Finn's team for ESO. How long have you worked on the Elder Scrolls Online?
So I joined ZOS in 2019 on the QA team, and then I just transitioned to the encounter design team about a year ago now. Yeah.
Chat, say hi to Lauren, welcoming her to the stream. What's
I'll
one of
be
your
right
favorite
back.
things that you have worked on since you've been here?
So I actually have two favorites, and they're both pieces of content that were released in Update 38. And the first is the Feral Gallery objective. So for those that don't know, it's an objective in Apocrypha, and it's Hermaeus Mora's collection of fantastic creatures from all across Tamriel. And with that objective, I had a blast creating all of the little scenes with different monsters, both on display and running amok, and giving them their own unique story. And then my other favorite is Runemaster's Jomara, and he is the Arcanist world boss in Apocrypha. And with him, I had a lot of fun putting twists on a bunch of different Arcanist player abilities and different apocryphal elements and meshing them all together for what was hopefully a pretty cool and challenging boss fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, next time you all run across that, now you can think of Lauren.
There you go.
Now you can blame Lauren.
You're right.
Just think of her lapping behind the boss as you die.
All right, so we are going to hop into an internal development server to show you all Endless Archive gameplay. This way you can see everything that Finn just talked about
Yep.
in
Here we
action.
go.
In action.
Yes. So this is the index. This is where
The foyer. No, it's the index. Sorry.
there's the index, right? This is
Foyer?
the index. This is where you start in Endless Archive.
I say foyer, I think. Does anyone else say foyer, or is it foyer?
I don't.
Right?
He's Canadian. He's Canadian.
Go.
So this is where you would start. It's got some pretty cool visuals here. Master Malcast is off to the side. Now we are not going to take the quest.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Here we're not, because we don't want to
Good call.
spoil quest elements too. He'll pop up from time to time, and you'll see him. But Rich and Lauren, I'm sorry, the Lauren show is going to start
right.
here in a minute. Rich
in.
is going to jump right in. Lauren is currently playing a tank, and Rich is playing his best at a DPS.
Whoa. I'm on my Stamplar, yes.
Yeah, and you're seeing Rich's gameplay
You're
here.
seeing Rich's
so
gameplay.
you'll see Lauren running around,
Yep.
making sure that he stays alive. But
So one of the first things to kind of point out when you first come in, you have a breathing room.
You do.
Like nothing swarms you right off the
Right.
bat. The way you started off is you go towards these little portals,
These little ink blob things.
and that starts starts the fun.
Yes,
And
this starts the fun. You see this little wheel here that shows up on the screen? That's telling you, and you can actually see it in the top right of his screen too, where it's underneath more.
Look at these weak DPS numbers. Do you guys think they're wearing best in slot builds? What do you think they're wearing? Medusa and Mother Sorrow?
Exactly, because when you get to stage 3, after you complete stage 3,
Interesting enough, though, I am joking, but I do think that it is kind of one of those, obviously for trials you have to wear different gear than you wear for, 4-man content versus solo arenas. I wonder how the best sets are going to break down for these types of locations. Like, what's going to be the best in slot way to stack for this?
It's not time-based.
Right,
At
it's
all,
not time-based,
So
right.
you don't have to be crazy efficient in this. Like,
yeah,
your focus is on going as deep as you can.
for sure. So here, this is the first choice for a verse. So if you see this, this is the options that you have. You are afforded 2 choices, and these are random. So Rich actually scored big here.
More
This is actually one
jabs.
of the big,
Yay.
one of the best it's a really good verse. It buffs all of your class abilities. And then this is another one, stamina renewal. So these verses are separated into 3 separate categories. There's offense, defense, and utility, and you get 2 choices from any of those categories. There are 40 plus verses and 40 plus visions that can possibly show up.
that'll just kind of rotate through.
They'll kind of
you know?
rotate through. They don't
It's
rotate. It's all
it's
it's
RNG.
completely random which you're going to see. And the stages operate like this. You see these like little groups. All of this is set in Apocrypha, so the visuals, if you're used to
just knocked
going
the
around
ball
kind of
under
from
me.
Mora's realm, you're going to recognize a lot of these visuals. There are wrinkles. You can see some goblins
I don't know
here.
where it went.
Like I said, the monster sets are curated from all over Tamriel, so you're going to see a good mix, and sometimes it may not make sense, but it makes sense because these are the stories that you're kind of
missing
invading.
buttons. That's okay.
There you go.
So I will try to remember to take a breath and look at some of the world building.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I
See,
think
Mopey, good to have
Mars
did a great-
an
Mars
unbelievable
did
job
an
at putting
unbelievable
all
job.
of
And
this
it,
stuff
I
together.
do
Like,
agree that
it's
not
so
everyone is going to be able to afford different crown things. So it is cool that this is free for everybody. Like everyone's going to have access to this.
That's a very good question. Each person gets their own selection, so if you
Just
have
for
a
you,
tank,
Mike.
yes, you got to get Gillis.
Just for
This is
you.
one of my favorite verses. This is one, and you're going to see it next. This is one where you get to shake down monsters. You basically get a synergy, and you get to punch them, and gold piles fall out. So it is. It's not. It's one of those ones
Yes,
that's not going to
Buttercup.
be super impactful for DPS wise, but it's just a funny.
It's fun.
It's just a funny little thing
See,
that you
there's a
can
gold
choose. There he
monster,
is.
so
There
hit
you
him.
punched him, and he got the gold pile right there on the
Yeah.
ground.
I saw another question in chat. Somebody was asking, if you start solo and then bring out a companion, does that put you on the duo leaderboard?
It does.
And
It does.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. There's you punch him.
Oh,
Oh.
I hit my inventory button. Boo.
So there's going to be another one coming up here. I'm I'm sure
should
there's
get
gonna be
another
another. Yeah, you should be able to get. There he was.
Yeah, Lauren killed him.
These enemies also seem very manageable. Like if I'm looking at their health bars and I'm thinking that's easy, you know. Like this seems like a very manageable thing to do, at least in the beginning stages.
Maybe even a little bit
A
more.
little bit more. A little bit
Just
more.
to kind of show how
Trying to show.
difficult-
So the difficulty increases as you, in more ways than one, as you progress through the arcs. Actually, is that yours, Lauren? Is
That's
that your
my.
book?
I do think that this will be able to be a good XP area. I just don't know necessarily how efficient it's going to be versus other things. It's hard to gauge how much XP they're getting.
Start.
Yep. That looks like a tipsy trial.
Lauren is all go, no stop. All right.
That was a tipsy trial point.
So you can see here, this is
this
Crag,
is
the
Fungal
Dread
Grotto's
King
boss,
from
isn't it?
Fungal Grotto.
Oh, no, I'm not.
As you progress through this and as you fight these bosses more and more, you're gonna see they're gonna gain in difficulty. This is arc 1, so it's usually typically the
Ooh,
easiest
first loot
portion of
moment.
this. This is the first big loot moment. There's your archival fortunes. He has ESO Plus, so he gets an
bonus?
extra 10%. And this is where
You
your
didn't take
first.
the empty soul gem?
I did.
You didn't want that one?
This is the first chance for you to get a vision. So these are the long
Ooh.
duration.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. These are the long
me, for
duration
my
ones
build.
that will last for the entirety of your run. And if you see, for instance, if he kills another boss and he gets persistent pain again, it'll stack again. So those ones will, or you can stack them to get more effect from them.
And there's all kinds of really unique, cool animations that
For
the
sure.
UI team put together.
Absolutely.
I don't know if people saw that, but like when you accept a vision or a verse, you see it kind of bounce
floats
in the,
up to the
in
top.
the UI and
I mean, this whole
floats in
thing right
there.
here with the rotating stage cycles arc.
Yeah, so you can tell like a lot of care and effort was put in by the team on this. Like this is something that I think really got the team jazzed
Oh yeah, absolutely.
to be able to do. It's something different. It's not something we normally do.
And hello, Shane.
And it was just a ton
And it was a lot of
learn.
fun to be able to
To
kind
learn,
of
right? Like-
re-highlight. Yeah, there's a lot of learning. It was fun to be able to re-highlight some of the cool stuff that we've done in game before.
Right.
That maybe players, like I said,
I
players
guess I
that
could switch
have-
it to
maybe
this.
haven't
Hopefully
played
this actually
Trials or
shows
Dungeons
all the
before,
chats that
you're gonna
pop
see
up.
all kinds of bosses
Whee!
that maybe you haven't seen before. And even if you have, or maybe if you're exclusively a trial or dungeon player, you're gonna see monsters from like the base game that maybe you haven't encountered yet before.
boy.
And it's going to be new and
she's
interesting.
coming back.
Not every. So
doing?
there's tiers to the bosses
cause
that you'll fight.
chaos somewhere
So
else?
in based on whichever cycle you get to, so you're never going to get the same boss twice in a row. You're going to have actually in every arc you're going to get a selection of 4 different bosses. You get the fire orb. That one puts a little fire orb that has a tether between you, so you can do a lot of damage between you and somebody else. So after you transition here, hit F5 real quick, and that's where you can see that the verses and the visions have now their own like section, so you can see that.
And,
For those
and
who,
I'm just showing mouse and keyboard UI because that's
Yeah.
what I'm playing on, but this works 100% with the gamepad
For sure.
as well.
yeah, absolutely.
The team went to great care. Same thing with like the group finder tool that we did. I only showed, the PC UI, but
Right.
there is absolutely
later.
a gamepad UI as well.
And as always, the
So
chat
while
is
you all
not
are going
working.
through, I just want
on
to answer a
Streamlabs.
couple common questions that keep popping up in chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is no difficulty. There's no normal or vet. It's
Correct.
just you can do solo or you can do duo.
Yeah,
Right.
and the difficulty comes from how deep.
How
you
far
go.
you
Yeah,
get.
how far
and,
you
and
go.
it's actually
harder.
It's
Yep.
it's not.
It gets a lot harder.
To clarify a little bit there is no difference between solo or duo difficulty.
Right.
Yes.
So if Rich was in here solo, the monsters have the same amount of health, do the same amount of damage.
Yep.
So you really have to build your character a specific way in order to kind of tackle solo. You have a little bit more flexibility with duo, but for those people with one friend, this is the perfect
Like-
piece of content.
Wow! Why did you look at Gina when you said that?
We looked at each other.
Wow.
When you're done, if you could bring up F5 again
Sure.
Okay.
for another question I see popping up.
Yep.
If you are in here with a friend, my assumption is you and your friend cannot summon companions, correct?
Correct. Yes, this is it's capped at 2 players. So if you're in, as a matter of fact, if
companion
you are,
is considered a
if
player.
if you have a companion out and then your friend who is also in your group comes in here, your companion will desummon.
Right.
So companions count
yeah,
as a
it works
human.
just
I
like
don't
Right, F5.
necessarily like that. I
All
always
right,
think
so
it's a
the
bit dumb
verses
to
and the
count them as
visions.
Yep.
The verses
people,
are
but
only
that
by
is kind
stage,
of
correct?
the
Yes.
Correct.
standard.
So
And then-
as you
is
can
that
see here, he
companions
does
count
not
as
have a verse
humans.
because they just completed a
I think
stage.
they
But I
use
will when I
significant
click.
buff
he
for
will,
that.
he will when he clicks this.
And the visions persist throughout your
Throughout the
entire run.
entirety of the
Hey,
run.
it's Finn.
So the tomfoolery. Tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery.
So now I have a verse and a
And a
vision.
vision. Yes.
Just to
Why
answer another
only
question
Twitch
in
chat
chat,
now is
this
popping
is
up in this
free
chat
with
box.
update
These chat
40. It's
boxes
free
are
for all
stupid.
players.
The
It is
base
not
game
tied
There they
to
go.
any chapters or DLCs, so
boy.
anybody can play it.
I won't light attack him this time.
This
I'm
is
only
the trophy taker. So
Full disclosure, I'm only looking at my phone for two reasons. One, this is my work phone, and this is my personal phone. While I am not technically working right now, I'm a salaried employee, so the problems that I face don't just go away. So I every so often check to see what these emails and stuff are. That way I'm not going crazy. So even like right now, I've also been getting phone calls throughout this time period too.
Are you able to choose verses and visions?
So that's the problem I run into with my my input. Also too, like this is really just like an experiment. Gosh,
Oh, I held that one in. That one hurt. I didn't want to sneeze on stream.
I hate that my computer plays my audio. I also I physically ran home to do this, and I made the thumbnail. And I was like, oh my god, I gotta make the thumbnail, I gotta make the title, I gotta do all this stuff during the stream. So it was chaotic. Unfortunately, I figured you were Mr. Mass. Don't worry. I was just like, oh god. I hear correctly that all jewelry grains are getting changed. Yes. I don't know. Here's the problem, right? Like, we could speculate, like, oh, all the grains are going to change, therefore, the rates are going to be blah, blah, blah. The rate, now it's going to be worth 10 times less or 10 times more, or, the rates are going to be worse or better. I don't know, because, for example, they haven't touched, they said they're going to tweak a lot of things, so I don't know how much change is going to go into this. Like, for example, there's a certain rate of how often you refine your grains to how much you get. Well, that's likely going to change. So that could affect a lot of things. Now, the goal of this is to devalue jewelry mats, which is overall a great cause, right? I think everyone watching this thinks that jewelry materials are like ridiculously expensive, right? So how do we make sure that jewelry mats are affordable, but also profitable to farm? Because the flip side of this is that there could be a situation where nobody farms this, and then jewelry mats are expensive again because nobody wants to go out and farm it. But then, the market would equalize, because people would say, like, oh, well, if nobody's farming it, I should farm it to make money. So there's a little bit of, supply and demand economics here. Oh, a deck fragment? Does that mean a new deck? So, Rambo, they had said that they had kind of addressed that comment that all of your grains and plates are going to be converted so you can continue to refine as normal. My first thought was, when they announced this, was to go buy all of the grains on the market. But then I was like, well, hold on a minute here, Jake, because all of those grains, the whole point of this is to devalue jewelry mats. So if I go out and do that, I could be getting something that's going to be worth significantly less than it's worth right now. Now, if you're selling jewelry mats, you probably want to keep this on your radar, because your materials might be worth less than they would have been before. So economically, this is going to be very different. No problem. The update drops, I think, October 20th for PC and like November 7th for Xbox, sometime around that. I don't remember the exact time frame.
Yeah, Arc 1 is a little bit more accessible, right? It's not, I wouldn't say it's story mode, but it is definitely kind of balanced somewhere between kind of like normal and vet, I guess.
Depending, I mean, some of the bosses in
Some
Arc
of them are
1
hard,
some
yeah.
of the bosses in Arc 1.
Sorry, I'm getting more work emails. Don't kill me for not adding a whole lot here.
Who'd you have earlier? Molimnir?
Yeah.
Yeah, Molimnir was pretty tough. So
How's it going, Carlos?
Stage 2, so one.
Oh, one more.
You got one more.
That's why we have that little.
Yeah,
that's why I had
very
that.
No problem. I think that's around when it drops. I just don't remember the specifics.
Right, it ends your run, or is there a way to kind of
So
like save your progress?
you cannot save your progress because of the nature of how everything is going to be different, how you're going to build your character and your run in here. So
No saving of progress. I should put their commentary back on. I guess they're starting to say helpful things again.
And when you leave, you have a certain amount of time to come back in before the kind of instance spins down. But when Rich returns to the index later, I'll show you some cool things that
Yeah, we'll show the vendors and some of the other stuff.
and some cool things that we implemented to allow players to manipulate that a little bit. Now it's the boss.
Now it's the
Yeah.
boss.
Yes.
All right,
Very
we're not saying anything helpful again. Should we save jewelry surveys or knock them out?
Depends on what the boss is.
It's such a good question.
Here we go.
I
Oh, did you?
I feel like I have to do math. But the problem is if I do the math, it's going to be based on the drop rates and the conversions of how many grains you're generally getting now for every stack versus what I predict they will be in the future. October 30th and then November 17th sound correct. I don't know, because the whole goal is to devalue jewelry mats. So there's a whole lot of math in this. I think it's more beneficial to wait. And here's why. This is my thinking. So jewelry mats have been notoriously unaffordable, right? And writ books have also been generally unaffordable to do except for the best of the best jewelries. However, once this change goes into effect, a lot of people will now be able to upgrade jewelry who've never considered it before because they've just not done it. They've just upgraded everything else or just their weapon, never done jewelry. I think that when this update drops, more people are going to be inclined to actually go out and upgrade their materials. And I think that in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of people doing this at the front end. So I would say hold on to your mats, and I think that the market will reward you slightly. I do think that because they're converting old grains and stuff anyway, I do think, though, that the economy will reward you, though, for waiting and being patient, I think. But you're going to probably want to do it immediately because the market is generally going to be in a bit of a crazy space. So my suggestion would be is immediately, like day one, when this change comes up for your console, like go out and start selling these things at a premium. Because a lot of people, and that premium's obviously going to be relative, but I would start selling it then. I don't know if bots will love this because nobody ever wanted to farm jewelry mats because it was horrible. You know, and again, the whole goal of this is to devalue jewelry mats. You know what I mean?
Here's some of the scrolls that you can get.
Why do they still sell bait? Tell me why. Every ESO merchant has to sell garbage potions, simple bait, and empty soul gems. And that guy has over 1 billion gold. Can we talk about that? They got 1 billion gold. He's wearing Perfected Reliquant. That's what he's wearing. Got anything else on there? He just got fixed. Oh, what was the other sets? Perfected Reliquant. Oh, Zan. Oh, that makes sense. You've probably seen that. Reliquant. Zan. Dons. However you guys want to say it. And item not ready. What was the other set? Did I miss it?
Your rented friend?
Yeah, your rent a friend.
I do think that they need to beef up how much you get from certain surveys, because I agree with you. Enchanting surveys are just like very not worth doing. They will be an all-in-one one. I think it's 250. Does somebody remember how much is it going to be per Ritz to buy the all-in-one Grand Station? Did anyone catch it? I missed the total amount.
So as you can see, as you're kind of going through here, you're making these choices every single stage to try and get as far as you can. That was a fabled flame shaper. It is surprising sometimes you get a verse that's like super powerful and then things just melt. Again, early arcs you're gonna see that a lot more than you'll see it in later arcs.
And just to reiterate, each stage is randomized. So
Correct.
like all these monsters, they could show up anywhere, anytime. It's not a set.
Right.
Even the actual stage itself.
Yeah.
It's not the same order through it every time.
Correct. And the monsters are kind of curated into.
I had them completely muted because I was answering your guys' questions and they were just rambling on about
Bastion,
nonsense.
you're going to see a group of the Silver
That's why I had it
monsters,
muted. I
and
put
then
it back
you'll see another
on
set
now.
added into, so it could be goblins, or one time, or it could be tree
This
spirits.
is the
another time
part of
or
the video
something.
where I
So
was like
you'll see
answering
kind of the
questions,
same,
because all they're doing is just doing a
sets
run
of
through.
monsters as you go through. But
This
the
is
fables,
the sexy boss one.
the wounds you inflict do not close.
I got a good one for boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, you do get XP in here.
You
I
do,
saw that
absolutely.
called out.
You do get XP in here.
One ancient grain is worth one plating. Yes.
See, based on
Yeah.
some of these little perks they're getting, there's going to be like ridiculously OP setups that are going to be hinged upon you getting specific
I saw
ones.
Go ahead.
Somebody talking about how they're just kind of going through these enemies pretty quickly.
Yes,
I mean,
they
they're
are.
still really early on, and they're both like max CP right now.
Yeah, they're good.
Obviously
Like,
know what
we
they're
play
doing.
the game.
so,
we
yeah.
fully expect so part of this is, and what we were trying to do with this is provide an experience for not just the high-end players and not just story players. It is an experience that's going to continuously get more and more difficult. So yes,
gets
why
chunky.
you can kind of blow through the first sections, the first arcs and stuff like that.
For experienced players, yeah.
For experienced
I do
players,
like that you get
eventually it's
rewards
gonna get
throughout,
tougher. That's
not
where the
at the
leaderboards
end.
are going to come in. That's where you're going to get, as you progress through this, you get more archival fortunes. So it's worth it to kind of delve deeper into this. Effortless acrobatics,
Max health.
full coffers.
I'm gonna go straight up defense.
There you go, defense.
So, and I know you called this out. There's offensive, defensive, and utility, but we also call that out on the tooltips as well, right?
Correct.
Like, so this is a vision. You can see in the top left corner, it's defensive.
And you can only get the option
There's
for
a utility
one
there.
category per thing. So you get the option of two visions, or two visions. Those are going to be one from offense, defense, and utility, and the other one from whatever wasn't chosen.
Yep.
So this is heading into
Yes, the golden ratio. They technically all do. They just aren't all always available at once. It is a matter of supply and demand. How much XP and skill points? Probably only one skill point from this.
And again,
The
this is
XP they seem to be getting does seem to be really good though, so that's pretty
We're gonna be
reassuring.
keeping an eye on a lot of feedback,
So that's good at
all of
least.
that, so we can certainly make some tweaks.
absolutely.
If,
Final
things
balance.
just don't seem right.
Yeah, and that's good. We want people to come in here and play it and give that feedback on what they think. And
Tell me how he's
their
level
overall experience is.
3,600 or whatever it is, and he's just now getting this achievement?
Actually, like I said, there's no varying difficulty between normal and duo. So if you want to really challenge
Where's the
yourself, come in
assault
here
skill?
solo and build a character for that. Or if you want to bring a friend in here and see as far as you can go and just lay waste to the early arcs and then layer on those visions so it really helps you.
So some internal play tests, right?
Yeah.
We've done.
Whoa, Jonathan. I like being able to sell one perfect row for like a bajillion gold.
And trust me, it gets
It's
brutal.
meaty.
It
Yes,
gets brutal.
It gets pretty brutal. At
Even
the
as a
higher
tank,
arc.
it's
Yeah, even
tough.
as a tank. Yep. So there's a fabled spirit thief. Again, the fableds are curated from a lot of different bannermen that you would see in the world, and they are not tied to the monster sets. I talked about monster sets that you would appear. Even if you see undead and forest spirits, that doesn't correlate to whatever fable that you'll see.
Oh, Gina's looking at chat.
Spicy reference the pain train.
Choo choo.
That's from years and
Maybe
years
on the
ago.
Wow, the pain chain.
It is going to be ridiculously hard to get to like the leaderboards for this. There's going to be people that are just pounding Monster Energy drinks, fucking staying up all night, and then just watching and playing this. I mean, that's literally what's going to be going on. People are going to be getting to ridiculous levels because people are going to wear like tanky sets, and even as you're going to get more and more skills as you go on. So I think it's actually going to get progressively easier. Like, especially if you know mechanics of bosses from different dungeons, like off the top of your head. To me, that's the only way that you're going to die kind of easily is if you're like, oh, I didn't know that one boss from that Flulu dungeon, did this. And now I'm dead, and I only have like, 3 lives or something. That could be a little bit of a sticky wicket. But if you look at this holistically, like the players who know like the 4-man content dungeon types and the trial dungeon types, they're going to be able to farm this for as long as they want to. I will say the XP, I keep monitoring the XP. Now, granted, we don't know if they've got weird buffs on or whatever. The XP does seem to be coming at a really good click. And I'm assuming that they're not using an XP scroll because they're max level and they're developers. They don't need that. So I am curious. But I do think this will be great for experience. Now, this might be painful if you're like a newer player who's, on a new character. So that I don't know. I don't think so, Silent. Got Master Angler. I have not got Master Angler. Oh, there's quest elements here. Uh-oh.
This guy does is he tasks you with finding pages as you're progressing through Endless Archive. So you're going to get a quest from him. You don't have to get the quest now.
I'm not
can
gonna
if
get
you
it.
want to.
I'm not gonna
We
do
don't
it
want
for
to spoil
spoilers.
kind of the story here. But this guy is just trapped in the Endless Archive, and he'll give you a quest to pick up pages to kind of complete his thing. And what's great about this side content is like from now on, as you're in Endless Archive, you'll see these pages all over the place.
Interesting. I did not know that if you're max CP, you're enlightened permanently. I kind of also thought, too, that they're just constantly got weird XP buffs, too. So that, interesting to know that, though.
A lot of players, or that we haven't seen yet. Thawat's going to appear here. Master.
I don't think that they will nerf the XP that you get. Only because I think that they want you to do this type of content. Like, this is the type of competitive content they want you to do. I don't recognize where this boss is from. Am I dumb? Who is this? Where are they? What dungeon are they from?
Break off different pieces of herself, and they're going to do different things.
Should probably heal myself.
You should probably heal yourself. She drops a lot of AoEs, as you can tell. She's going to summon a sword here in a minute. Master Melkes is trying to kick in. Look at that. He's
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
Oh, no.
There it is.
Lag.
Internal
Yeah.
server. Internal server.
Internal server,
I
right.
was like, what's going on?
So she has her sword out now, so she's trying to lay waste to Lauren. She does this really cool teleport mechanic with that heavy attack. Master Melkes is trying to fisticuffs it
That makes sense.
to lend his help.
She's got some health.
She does have some beefy health. She's going to do this.
There's
Going to
the
summon the
sword.
giant eyeball.
Who's
And
it
this puts a explosion on the ground that will follow one of the people in here. So you need to be careful of that because it does a whole lot of damage. She's also going to have these little
Crossplay. Oh gosh.
like glass.
It's not that crossplay couldn't happen, but it would. I don't want to say it would ruin a lot of players, but it would. I mean, so I have like. I'm trying to think how much gold I have. I probably have like 15 million gold, right? And I spend probably like 1 to 2 million gold weekly on bullshit, right? And I make 1 to 2 million gold a week. There are players on PC. You're poor if you have that as much gold as I have. You're broke because inflation has affected PC so differently. Like you would have to equilibrize. I don't know. Create an equilibrium between all the economies. The other problem is there's only so many guild traders. Like they'd have to either create more guild traders or something along those lines, because essentially, everyone who would be making all this progress toward like an economic value would lose it, as the unfortunate aspect of it. And it's unfortunate because I do think it would be good. My solution would have been, could you go, like, if say it can import my character to another console. Like, I could take them over with me, but I can't take currency with me. Like, I can take items to a certain extent, but I can't take, my other things. Now, that could cause its own problems too, but, we'll set those to the side. I do think it's a conversation worth having, but I think that when you consider how many players have been grinding gold and experience and Telvar and RIT vouchers and then turning it into gold and then making their gold almost worthless, that's a risky conundrum.
There are 21 class skill lines.
There are.
Oh, there's a lot of Xbox gamers with 250 million gold. But Riddle, consider this. To buy almost one crown, I know obviously crown gifting is, disabled. But like a 15-pack crown thing was like 50 million gold. Like people were spending upwards of 50 million gold. That's a quarter of that dude's wealth. 250 million gold on console. People just blow on crown crates, because they've got so much other, fuck you money. And it's really because they've also had a big head start too. Like realistically, like they've been able to play ESO for years longer, acquire more items and whatnot than everybody else has.
You can always go back to the index at any time. That's what these little.
That's what that little thing is.
Worlds
At
are.
the start of at the start of each stage, there's this little thing. It mimics what you use actually in order to enter. And this is the index. And you can come back here at any time. Like I said, this is not timed. So if you need to come back here and do whatever, you can come back here, hang out. There's a merchant up here. This is where we get to see the cool new merchant.
Some of the cool stuff.
Filer.
I agree with you, Mr. Mask. And I think, too, like, if you were going from EU to NA, there should be a little bit more consideration. Oh, here's the rewards.
You can go through. So some of the collectibles.
So this is really good. You have some deck fragments here that you can use Archival Fortunes for. There's also these things that are called account unlocks. Now, these are part of the roguelike inspired permanent progression. As you complete the achievements related to the side content, you get the option to buy these. And some of these are really, really powerful.
This is freaking awesome.
So, for
Sweeter
instance,
deal, like-
Sweeter Deal, this
my
gives you
goodness.
the option to see a third verse choice in every single run. So instead of just getting 2 choices, you now will have a choice of offense, defense, and utility every single time you see it.
some
So those are
consumables
definitely
we saw.
worth wanting to unlock.
Oh,
There's
furniture.
a whole bunch of unique furnishings in here
Yep.
that you can get, and then
Show us
there's a
what they
bunch of
look like. What the
miscellaneous
hell?
things you can get, like Telvars. You can vendors, you can get materials. There's some gold that you can get out of this. There are curated.
That's the crazy thing is 40 mil on PC is kind of like being poor, which is ludicrous.
Early on, a strategy might be.
I kind of wish I played on PC as like my main console because I could have like, 100, 200 million gold and I'd appear so much more credible, and I'd be making ESO gold videos.
There's some cool
That's
stuff
what I'm wondering. Let's see them.
with it. This is one of my favorite ones. Is the Nightblade one?
Nightblade one is really good,
Which
yes.
essentially what it does is your abilities use some ultimate
Yep.
up to empower them to make them do more damage
Yes.
and whatnot in that skill line. So lots of really cool stuff in here. Yes, I noticed people are looking at my gold that I have. I used the template. I cheated to set it up.
Please.
But that's
No,
the vendor,
go back.
and
Isn't there also a mount?
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, there is. It's achievement.
I mean, I
It's
know there
achievement-based.
is
Yeah,
because
It's
I
achievement
wrote
based.
it in the patch notes, but I
there's
just couldn't remember
There's
where.
achievement-based. There's
Okay.
achievement-based.
So you
one
gotta do a
thing-
bunch of stuff.
Wait, don't go in there yet. So if you turn around, let's say if you want to, this little doohickey right here. Let's say you've been in here for a couple hours, you got pretty deep, but you just ran out of time, and you want to end your run. You can actually interact with this as Runic Threadweaver, and it will drop your threads to 0. You can't ever go in here. You can't go further, but it also will basically end your run for a leaderboard score.
Yeah, prints your
and
leaderboard
then
score,
you could still stay in here,
Yep.
and you can visit the vendors and stuff. And then this little awesome hourglass here, this is a reset hourglass, and what this does is if you interact with this, it will basically shut the instance down.
resets the instance,
It
yeah.
shuts the instance down like dungeons do, and everybody gets the little timer that they need to exit and leave, and then it'll reset it so you can just jump right back in. So no
I do
more
like
getting
that.
out and like swapping group leaders and all kinds of
Yeah,
crazy
ooh,
stuff.
I haven't been here in a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so
It is really nice that you can do that in the dungeon itself or in the whatever the endless yada yada. I've always hated having to go out and then come back and then switch it from blah 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 blah. It's so nice that they finally have put that in the actual thing itself. But I really am annoyed is that they like blew through the sets for the specific classes. They're just like, yeah, there's these here, boop, pew, gone.
And cycle will increase the difficulty, so things will get a little more difficult as you progress. But also arcs are a bigger jump.
That's
so you're going to
yeah,
see
big jump. Yeah.
What's crazy though, Rose, your 3 million on PlayStation is probably would get you more items than Garrett's 40 million on PC. That's the difference between the economies. Your 3 mil is worth significantly more. That's the part that always boggles my mind when I try to like explain this to people about just the economic differences between different servers. And PlayStation and Xbox, because they've been out for the same kind of time period, they're much similar in kind of their, their total, what's the word I want to use here? Like their economic gains, their inflation are very similar versus PC, who's got that head start. And let's not forget too, there were like duping methods when like PC was first released. There was all these bugs that were exploited by people. That Xbox didn't really get stuff like that, at least not to that degree that they got. And just the overall head start is the biggest thing. Imagine if your character had an additional 3 years of age to it or whatever it is, Think about how much further along it would be,
Running rough shot over. Actually, Lauren's doing pretty good. Rich, not so much. Lauren's doing great.
As expected.
As expected.
I was going to say, that's
as
pretty
expected.
Well, Buttercup, you don't have to do this with another person. You can do this solo as well, or with a companion. But the nice thing is that you can do this, with just one other friend too.
You don't want to hit him.
That's not good.
You don't want to hit. He reflects.
Backseat player.
I know, right? I'm like,
Spoilers.
spoiler alert.
That was not player test. Actually, was player test.
Yeah, it was player test. Yeah, absolutely. There's an Ascended Vanguard. All right. Stage 2 is complete.
Where is it?
I
Up
have,
top?
I have
Down here.
faith that you're going to
Go
get.
down here. We're gonna get some
You're
difficulty.
gonna get some. You get a little bit more. Like I said, the arcs naturally progress. So really experienced players that are used to doing stuff like trials.
Oh,
and
hey, look at
dungeons,
that!
stuff
Damage
like
over
that.
time heals me. That seems like
Sorry,
a
I'm
good
answering
thing.
work emails.
I think
They're
I'll
gonna
take
have
that.
a bit easier time in the early arcs, but again, you're building that run. You're building that.
You can already
that-
feel the difference.
Yeah,
like
you absolutely
monsters are lasting way longer now than they were.
This is
Yeah.
one of the first arenas we actually built.
Stuff hurts a lot more. Yeah, this is a potentially painful arena.
Endless arc. Yeah, you saw the pop up and you were like, wait. No, all right, never mind. There's a spirit thief. They like to put those little time bombs out.
Oh. They'll spawn behind me. Where are
Surprise.
they?
L2 tank.
Yeah.
Just kidding. You're doing great.
I was gonna say,
You're doing
wait a
great.
minute.
You're doing great.
Sorry, everyone. Work emails.
So you're gonna fight your first boss on Arc, or Arc 2, coming up.
So
Alright.
for anybody who maybe tuned in a little bit late, we're showing off Endless Archive. It's a new PvE activity coming in Update 40. This is content that is going to be for free for all players. It's not tied to a chapter or a DLC. You can go solo or you can go duo with either a friend or a companion.
companion.
See how
Who'd
I
we get?
pointed at you
There
when
you
I
go,
said
yeah,
friend?
yeah.
Queen of the Reef.
Queen of
Uh-oh.
the Reef. The giant coral crab.
Yeah.
When are patch notes? Monday. So
Monday
this
is
is
patch-
coming to PTS on
Monday
Monday.
is fun day.
Natch
Monday
Posts
fun day.
is
This will be
Monday.
here on Monday.
Gotta finish
So like I
it
said,
first,
there's
I'm telling ya.
like I said, there's a lot of stuff that players may have seen before, and as you're
Hey, there's a gold pile.
yeah.
Yeah, that was your verse. That's awesome.
So yeah, kind of as you go through, you're going to see now the within each arc, each cycle is kind of again it's curated. So there's only a selection of bosses that would appear in cycle 1, 2, 3, or 4, with 3 and 4 being the harder of those. But again, once you get up higher in arcs, all the cycles are going to be pretty difficult. It's just a matter of the layering on the mechanics. You
And-
can also see that he's getting more archival fortunes because he's in arc 2 now.
Yep.
So he got
loot
330
slowly gets better, yep.
as opposed to 200. We
Now
got
they're
this.
trying to
Let's
call
do
me.
it.
This is
I
can
my
feel it
annoyance,
building.
How do you
right?
feel
nervous.
I can.
A salaried employee is like, this time should be sacred between all of us here right now. It's not, because the workday just doesn't end ever. So and when you leave early, people don't care. They expect responses as if you were working your normal work hours, and when you're working outside your normal work hours, they want both of them.
Yeah, so there's a very specific thing we're looking for here. Like I said, we have I know, right? So we have to reinforce the point that we're playing live. They're playing
And the point that you guys had made about the gold conversion is 100% accurate. And Gamble God said 15 to 20 per mil. Like at some points, it could be as high as $40 per million. So like it was ludicrous. People selling gold. I mean, if you think like that 250 mil, or that guy that had 50 mil, so he had 50 million gold on PC. If he had that on console, let's do the math here. So that's 50 times 40. It's $2,000 worth of gold. Which is also why so many more bots exist for console, because they just grind raw mats all day and then do that. I mean, $2,000 not nothing, you know. Now, that also requires you to sell at times where, currencies are worth more, and requires you to break TOS. I'm not encouraging this, by the way. I want that to be clear. But that's why people do it. That's why all these websites exist, to sell gold. It's because it's profitable, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't, because I'm pretty sure that's part of the reason why we're having so many problems with crown gifting. But, I mean, what can you do?
So somebody's asking a question with the new group finder tool that we talked about earlier. Can they use that for battlegrounds too? And
You can use it for custom activities as well.
Yeah.
So pretty much anything you can think of, you can make a group for.
And that's we actually were that was thought about when we kind of developed it, was wanting the ability to have custom activities, because anytime we would introduce anything new or something like that, I mean, heck, you can role play. Activate role play.
Yep, 100%.
You can
Or
ERP.
housing
You
tours
can
if you
ERP
wanted
with
to,
the
right?
We're just going to wait for them to, lose. Is that what we're going to wait for?
Just jump to us, right?
I'm hoping that they give us some, juicy info here. I'm going to switch you guys back to this. And I'm going to mute myself so you guys can look. And I will be back. I might have to take a phone call awkwardly here. So put their volume
Finn
all the way
mentioned
up.
we're looking
You
for
guys can
something
listen
very
to these
specific here
hooligans, and
that-
I'll be back.
that
Yes,
He's being very
spawns-
coy.
let's
spawns
not do it.
randomly.
Should I? Let's click it.
All right,
wanna see
we'll
it.
do a portal. We'll see what's in here. Oh, this is
guy
the
again.
duelist.
This is a
So
good.
this is another piece of content. So this person is in here as well in the Endless Archive, and she's just here to challenge people, put them through their paces. She uses Arcanist abilities, teleporting all around, putting AoEs on people. So yeah, like I said, as the side content kind of gets more and more difficult, she's along the lines too. Is once you fight her at like the 5th level, or the 5th time you've seen her, she gets pretty beefy, and it's a pretty tough challenge for you.
Oh, tentacles. Nice.
Did you say tentacles? Nice. Clip that.
Somebody did. I'm sure somebody did. Gina can't help it.
No,
She's dying.
This is going downhill.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's hot
great.
in here.
It is hot. It is
So hot. I'm glad you said it. It's so hot in here.
So warm in here.
There we go.
It's not because
All
we're
right,
talking
so
about
they
tentacles.
Whoa.
were able to defeat.
He went there. Oh, no.
So this gives you another muniment chest.
Another loot moment.
A little bit
Ooh,
of
another deck
you get
fragment.
another deck fragment. You get another verse. So this is what we talked about. Is you get the second verse. So they're heading into a boss.
Yes.
And getting
More
a
AoE.
second verse, heading into a boss is
awesome.
Pretty awesome. All right, and
And of course,
and it's
Void
Void Mother. Okay, now this is not the one from Vatishran. This is the one
mean,
from This is the one from the base from Markarth.
Right.
So you don't. It's not quite as scary as if
That's
it was.
okay. We got
yeah.
lots of AoE fun.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, wow.
Melted her. Yeah, I know, right? Just
I had-
I didn't
her
even
in
get
the
to
face.
use this.
I had
It's
some-
so if you look at it, it's four verses in that. That's a lot of meat on
I
the
had
bone
buffs.
there. Yeah.
That was
You didn't
sweet.
want the Rabido?
No.
Do you have your full Rabido set?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, more stam regen.
Stam regen. All right, so we are going to head to make a choice.
Wow. Spicy.
That
Wow.
got you scared.
It's ramping up.
It is ramping up. It is
it's,
ramping up in difficulty here.
Fabled over here.
There's a Fabled.
Who is it?
Oh man, I was hoping
The
you
Sun
get
Eater?
I was hoping you would get the
Yeah.
right on a
wait.
Fable too. That would be great. So I'll go ahead and talk about it so everybody's not wondering what the So starting in Arc 2, as you progress through here, through the stages, not the cycles and not the arc, you get a random chance that a Marauder will spawn. And a Marauder is a super beefy, special, unique monster. It's a completely new loot moment too, so if you're able to defeat it, you get another class set item. But the special things about Marauders, are they are a one and done. They're first of all, they're really scary. But not only that, they're a one and done. If you fail to defeat the Marauder, then they go away, and you don't. And they will appear again.
You don't get a second chance.
They don't get a second chance. You don't get to respawn and fight it again.
I would say the Marauder is the scariest monster I've ever encountered in the game. It is just
a lot coming from you.
And it's
especially in the
stages.
deeper arcs.
Yeah, and
Like,
then the deeper arcs, they get better. And you're fighting stages with fabled monsters, and then all of a sudden a Marauder shows up. And you're like, oh no, now I have to deal with this
The
thing
Marauder and the rest of the
and
stuff.
the Marauder and the rest of the stuff. So that's, again, another opportunity for us to kind of like augment gameplay. You don't know when you're going to get it. Like you said, the last time we did this, when they were running through this to kind of get their feet under them, they caught it in the first
first stage.
first stage of Arc 2.
First stage of Arc 2.
Whereas now they're cycle 3, stage 2. So yeah, they have they've gone through a bit more, and like I said, you get one shot. If they remove your thread, they're gone, and you don't get that loot moment. I have faith. It'll be soon.
Yeah, that's kinda
now there
cool.
is a
cool
guarantee. There's a
This is a
guarantee
cool
that
room.
This is my favorite.
there is a
Yeah.
guarantee that the one will show up within this arc.
You
So
just
once
don't know
Arc 2
where.
starts, you just don't know
which
where.
one.
You don't know
That-
which stage.
that's
will
why
be in
we're
which
all
cycle.
nervy,
Yeah,
'cause
that's why
we
you're
know
so
it's
nervous.
coming.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
know
well, how
it's
do we deal
coming.
with it?
Yeah, exactly.
Ouch.
And not only that,
Sorry.
as the stages progress and get a little bit more difficult, that Marauder, when they show up, is going to be more difficult.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it.
It's gonna,
Literally,
you're
right
gonna
before
get
the
it
last
on
boss.
cycle 4, stage 3.
Of course
it's gonna
we
be
are.
that boss. Yeah.
Of course, because that's how my RNG works.
Yep. I love the clickety clack. Everybody's getting sweaty.
Everyone's concentrating,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody's getting sweaty in here. You will notice that there's more monsters here. Like when they were in Arc 1, there was a little bit less. That's one of the knobs that we have to turn to kind of out difficulty. You're going to fight more monsters. Stage 3 complete. It is time for another boss.
Sweet. More
And you're on what, cycle 3?
3,
Cycle
yeah.
4? Cycle
This is 3.
Okay. Okay. Who you got? I like that we've seen all kinds of. Oh, look, we got Kalurian from Fang Lair. So I do like that they've seen a unique selection of bosses we've gone through here. Like I said, there's
All right, we're
60
back.
plus bosses that we've kind of curated
we have
from
a
all
friend
over the place.
in the back.
Oh, is there a friend?
Oh,
Oh, yay, there it
Kill this
is.
guy. You're on your
That's
own.
good.
I'm gonna kill this guy.
You, the pilferer.
Come back.
And what
There you go.
that is another piece of side content. It shows up only in boss arenas. And so at the end of cycles. And if you're able to kill it, it's again more chances for loot. So you don't know when that's going to show up. And so you basically head on a swivel, keep your wits about you so that you can see when that shows up. And look at that. You got a lead.
I got a lead.
They're just they got a lead. That's incredible.
Always skipping the empty soul gems.
On live, I'd loot them because
Yeah,
I'd fill them up.
Yeah,
so
right.
it seems like the
But
fortunes
I'm
are the main currency.
Or
Well, not
wherever we
RC,
are.
wherever we are.
Wherever we are.
Which I mean,
Pets deal more damage.
You
See,
guys
that's
like that it's a
pretty
new
sexy.
currency?
How many pets?
What do you think about this?
Get
would
more
take-
health
I would take
recovery.
that.
That's actually really useful.
That is very useful. Yes. So now we're at
Do we like that? Do we wish it was not a currency? Like, what do we think about this? I want feedback on that. I think it's good. I like more currencies versus less currencies because I think it adds different dynamics to grind. But then on the other hand, I think to myself, well, now it's you have to grind this if you want specific things. You see what I'm saying? And there's no crates for the reveal. It's only an emote, I believe.
Who's your fabled?
There he is.
there he is.
Oh.
Marauder Hillcrest.
Lauren was ready.
So there it is. This is the
Okay.
Marauder.
Well, buckets. We should
as
save
Marauder
Don't,
comes
yeah,
in,
don't
so you-
kill the. There's enough fabled too with him. Oh, boy.
Yeah, so you can see Hillcrest. It's one of the scions.
Just leave the.
Oh! Ooh! Rich about died.
Just leave the fabled. I think we can.
So,
I got dungeon healer. All right, we'll leave the fabled.
Yeah, he's just.
There's a
falling
reason
over.
why we're doing this.
there's a reason why you're doing that. So so the stages progress, whether or not you keep going or not. So this is a Totem Master who summons
I'm gonna
these.
pull him
You're
out of
gonna
here
leave that
for you.
Fabled there. That Totem Master is gonna play hell here. If you were to defeat that Fabled, then the next
next
wave,
wave would
of
come.
monsters would appear, and you would have probably another Fable and then a whole lot of other monsters. So
And a whole lot of
they're
problems.
using some high-level strats
Yeah.
here to go ahead and take out this
But
this
look at the health
Marauder.
on this guy. Oh,
yeah,
my
he's
gosh.
he's got a lot of health.
There's so
Oh,
much.
Go away from the
You're,
totems.
you're eating
There's a lot of
whole
red
lot.
there. You got this.
Yeah, you got this. I have faith. So this
They
is
died
Arc
yet
2.
while
So
I was
like I
gone?
said, this guy will disappear. If they were to wipe here and die and not actually able to defeat
I'm
defeat
gonna
him,
cleave the.
yeah. If they were able to not actually defeat him, then he would just go away, and then you wouldn't have a
I'll go this
chance.
way.
You wouldn't get that loot moment. He's super beefy.
It's very scary.
I'm gonna stand over here for a little bit.
Yeah, and like I said, you can see how difficult. This is just Arc 2, and you can see kind of how difficult this guy is. So at further arcs, it gets even
Yeah,
more
you can
and
imagine.
more.
I'll pull him out of these NATOs a little.
Go, go, go.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you defeated
Oh,
it. Now you got
no.
the wave of monsters
Oh,
that are
no.
going to...
I was worried I was going to get clean. Ouch.
Oh,
All right.
Let's try to kill these ones.
Just
here.
trying to
We'll
kill
just-
stuff.
we'll just
That's
cleave
the goal. So for those of you wondering, this is what we
Leave a
were
little
kind of
one
waiting
in
for.
the
We
back.
wanted to show this off to players and stuff. After this,
I
think we're
don't
gonna-
know if
Hey, we'll
all
probably
of
Actually, it's
them
the
are
last one we
bound,
can
but I
do. Yeah,
believe
there
they
we
will
go.
be.
Last one.
so the Marauder is down.
My heart.
They get another loot moment here.
What do we get?
Like I said, you got a
More
lead.
fortunes,
You got
a lead.
and you got this
I
Wrestling
got a
Dagger.
verse. Ooh, and I got a dagger.
And you got the Wrestling Dagger.
Sweet.
So that is Endless
taste.
Archive.
a taste of
taste of
Endless
Endless
Archive.
Archive. Endless
Yeah.
Archive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, here's one of the sets.
We and again, like you said earlier, this is systemically
endless.
So
You can
I
see
mean, we're
that-
we're choosing to stop here, but we could keep going
Right,
forever,
for sure.
I guess,
Yep.
or until everybody here kicks us out.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So again, this is coming to our public test server, the PTS, on Monday, September 18th. If you have an active PC account, you can access the PTS. There's a little drop down on the launcher where you.
Sorry.
Clip that.
Everyone heard that,
I guess I should have muted myself. My bad.
right? All right.
My bad.
So yeah, there's a drop down on your launcher to access the test server, and you can download, give it a try on Monday. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, we do have a lot more other in-game events and activities coming to ESO through the end of the year that we just wanted to touch on. The first is Secrets of the Telvanni, which we had talked about earlier today. This is an in-game event that celebrates the latest Necrom chapter that just came out. So all you have to do is engage in just about any type of chapter content, so questing or fighting or looting, and then you earn reward boxes, bonus drops, and event tickets. However, that is not all. So during this event, there is going to be a special daily event quest that we are challenging all of you to complete. The more of you that complete this quest, the more this meter fills up, and then you unlock various rewards along the way. So, shall we tell them maybe what the rewards are that they can unlock?
Nah.
Stream's over at
Yeah.
4:28.
We're
That's it.
We're done.
Let's share because we have the assets ready. We got it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So the first one is at 33%. It is going to be an ebony scarab pet that
So
you
cute.
see here.
This is
It's so
adorable.
cute. Chill it on the little mushroom here. That's at 33%. If we fill the meter to 66%, everyone will receive the Nightmare's Nest markings, which is pretty cool. Now, at 100%, there is a really cool item. You have to make sure you complete the quest, though.
Yes.
If
Drum
you
roll, please.
if you fill up the challenge meter, we will be giving everyone who owns the Necrom chapter this amazing house. House in the mountains.
Ooh, a house.
They're all cheering. we're hearing it in our head. So there's going to be an additional twist.
Hear me out. Make it a noble house.
Describe all of that in the website article that is coming soon. Again, this starts September 28th, runs through October 10th. So be sure and participate, complete that quest we talked about, and as long as you own Necrom, you can earn those rewards that are shown on your screen here, which includes the house.
That seems good.
We fill the challenge meter all the way. All right, so along with Secrets of the Telvanni, let's talk around. Let's talk about some more in-game events that are coming to ESO this year. The first is Witches Festival coming in October. Now, what's cool about this year's Witches Festival is we are going to begin decorating towns. So Tamriel's citizens are finally getting into the holiday spirit. You can see these screenshots taken by one of our creators, Artea. She actually discovered this the last PTS cycle when we were testing this event. She was like, wait a second,
That's right.
what's going on here?
Yeah. Surprise.
So starting with Witches Festival in October, you will see some jack-o'-lanterns and just some holiday spirit around Tamriel, which is pretty cool. After that, in November, is going to be the Gates of Oblivion celebration, and then we'll be wrapping up the year in December with the New Life Festival. Now, we also have a number of out-of-game activations as well that we're working on. The first is Test October, which we've done a number of years now. We're hosting this on ESO social channels, so we're working on all the prompts right now. There are going to be some good ones this year, and we can't wait to see all the things that you guys create. Another thing that we're working on is a player competition kind of tied to Endless Archive. So we're still working out details on that, but definitely stay tuned for more information because I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it will.
We are also partnering with the charity No Kid Hungry this October. Now, this is a nonprofit that is working to solve the problems of hunger and poverty all around the world. So again, stay tuned for details. We'll have a website article and we'll have a Tiltify link for everybody to join if you would like to participate in that charity campaign. Additionally, sorry, I'm trying to kind of just there's even more. I'm just trying to get through everything here. We are excited to remind everyone we are bringing ESO Japanese localization to consoles. So if you're interested in hearing more about this, we will have information happening during Tokyo Game Show coming up, I think, next week. Which, are you going to that?
When's
I
Tokyo
get,
Game Show?
I get on a plane Monday morning.
There
yeah,
you go.
So
Heading
I'll be
to
there.
Japan?
Be there,
Japan.
and then I go to PAX Australia right after. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a long trip.
A lot of
It's
travel.
the Rich World Tour.
I
right.
feel so sorry for you. You get to travel the
It's
world.
46 hours of flights in 3 weeks.
You know what this is?
It's a lot of flying.
It's going to be fun,
Don't
though.
get assaulted by a kangaroo
Or a drop bear.
Or a drop bear.
It's true. I do
that
recommend a lot of furniture
Yeah.
each week.
Yeah,
So serious.
they're vicious. Everything is vicious. in
It's true.
Australia.
In Australia,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
One last thing. You may have heard earlier today that the Xbox Game Pass Core service has just started today. We are excited to say that ESO is part of that offering. So if you want to learn more about Xbox Game Pass Core, you can head to the Xbox website. They have all the details there. All right. So we talked about a lot of stuff
Brad,
today.
We absolutely did.
That was a lot.
Update 40 coming on Monday on PTS. This is a free update for everybody. It's not a DLC. Endless Archive is part of Update 40, which is really exciting. It also includes the Grandmaster crafting stations, jewelry
summary?
crafting rebalance, which again, that was a lot of words that Rich gave, but we'll detail everything
Tried to
in
keep it
patch
short.
notes. We have a new group finder coming, and then a few more just little things that, again, will be in the PTS patch notes on Monday. This update is launching October 30th for PC and Mac. November 14th for Xbox
Whoever
and
said the 30th
PlayStation
and the
consoles,
14th,
so
you
you
are
do
correct.
not have to wait
I
very
was the
long
dum-dum.
Nope.
to play this
Made
content
them
once it
each
goes
10
live.
days earlier. So
All
the
right,
20th
so
and
right now I
7th.
think we're going to kick it over to Deltia for a post show. Finn will be there to chat with him more about Endless Archive and answer some questions. I want to give a huge thank you to Rich, to Lauren, to Finn for joining us today, showing you a preview of what's coming in Update 40. And we can't wait to see you guys hop on PTS on Monday and give us some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And thank you to everybody in the background
Yeah.
that is
absolutely.
hiding back
Everybody
there,
back
keeping
there.
this
Thank
running,
you.
running
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
We really, really appreciate it coming in, staying in this hot room. It's
Very hot.
with us all,
It's a little heat box right now,
listening
but it's
to us
fine.
blather away about something we're so passionate about and so much we love. So
I
thank
want
you.
to thank all of you for joining too. Thanks for hanging out with us
Absolutely.
today. And we will see you next time.
Curious as to what they're actually going to do for this post show. I probably won't stay on for it just because I figure this is a good time for you guys to actually go to their main channel and watch them, you know, on their official blah 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 network, you know. It's probably a good time for you guys to do that. And my work has been ridiculous today, so I feel a little bad that I keep having to constantly look at my phones. But these hooligans, they don't stop, they don't rest. All they know is unadulterated chaos. They will have their unadulterated chaos. I forget if I even had my Bethesda account like that. I was like, I should pull up the Elder Scrolls Online stream from the hooligans. Let's see. Let's just says thanks for watching still. Interesting. Oh, they made Deltia as a little drop enabled little fella. I see here. I see how they're doing this, huh? No special things for Jake clips. Oh, here's the random. I guess it just ends. Now you have to go watch Deltia's. Man, that's crazy. Imagine, man, why can't they do that for Jake? You know, like, listen, man, if you guys want to get a Twitch drop, you guys have to watch Jake. I don't know what to tell you, you know? That's your only option. You gotta go watch Jake on the YouTube. I do feel bad, because I feel like, oh shit, I gotta do something interesting. And if you don't want to watch me look at work emails all day, dude, what the fuck is this? Hang around with you guys for a moment. You know, I can log into the old ESO, see what we got going on here. Shout out to those of you who, when I was doing random dungeons yesterday, it said hello. I was on a PvP healer, and I queued as a healer, and I was like, nobody will notice. And then I was like, I got 33,000 health in this dungeon. I had more health than the tank did, and I was like, somebody's gonna say something, and I'm gonna be like, listen, man, you know. Everyone wears sets. You know, I'm a hybrid. A hybrid is like, when people say the word hybrid when you're farming dungeons or trials, it's like a dirty word. It's like, oh, hybrid. So, I just thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, people are going to look at me and think I'm an idiot. Let's see what they got, you know, in the daily. I do love this pet. I hate that I love this pet because I hate non-combat pets, and I hate that I love that one. All right, so we got Blood Spawn in store. So this is obviously the armor pack, which is whatever. Oh, that is a nice step. So whatever, you know, this is a bunch of garbage. Now though, you can get the Bloodspawn monster style and shoulder though, which actually looks pretty cool. So I will get. It's a good little thing to farm. And is my style still in here? This is Dungeon Explorer. No, it's not mine. And, another customizable yada yada thing. My daily reward, don't judge me. I missed 2 days this month, I'm sorry. Let's see if I had anything sell from this morning. Easy peasy. Any other questions or things ESO related that I can help answer for you guys while you guys are still here? Anything that we could chit chat about? Probably going to go do some normal things here in a little bit, so I wanted to give you guys the opportunity and touch base with you guys in regards to all those things. Any questions or things that I can answer for you? There's a lot of speculation that's going to happen here, you know, throughout these time periods. By speculating, it's going to be, you know, should I go buy all these jewelry mats now? Should I wait? What's it going to look like in the future? Those are some great questions. I don't know the answer to those yet. Just like to say thank you for your videos. Thank you, Silverwood. Anything that I can help answer for you? Same. Oh, thank you much. Yeah, I'll probably do some more in-depth breakdowns when I have a chance to kind of do some math in my head of like, is it going to be easier or better to sell those things? You do your surveys now. I will say it's probably a good idea to start stocking up on writs, because at least when this update's released, writs are going to be insane. Everyone's going to want that new station. Even people who don't even have all the crafting stations are going to want it. So I would focus on getting that done now. It can be pretty massive. If you're like me, you gotta work on getting the lead from the Mages Guild for the freaking, what's it called? I can't even think. Sea Serpent's Coil. I'm like, the whatever it's called. The thingamahoosin, the thingamabob. The lead for the thing that, you know, when you get hit, it makes the thing happen. What is current exchange AP to gold? I can only answer that, unfortunately, on Xbox. And I would say it is about 2 AP to 1 gold. On PC, it ranges so much. It's a lot harder to track, unfortunately. What is your main tune? Is this guy right here, actually? This little fella right here. Little flappy wings and all the other little nonsense that's going on. The only thing that annoys me about this character is every so often I've died like Isabel's armor like 50 times and it just becomes undied all the time. I have no idea what causes it. I've never submitted a bug report for it, but I probably should at some point. I mean, I have her using this blue. You know, this blue and white. It just goes back to the default constantly. What do you think about Asmongold? I watch Asmongold. I don't watch all of his videos, but I've seen a lot of his like reaction to certain type of things. I don't know a whole lot about like their Asmongold's background and like what he does, but I've seen a lot of his videos and they seemed enjoyable. Like his steak one was pretty good. I don't know if he's ever really played ESO. I know Josh Strife Hayes has, and he's pretty close with Asmongold. Obviously, Josh Strife Hayes was actually originally an ESO content creator, like way back in the past. So that's kind of an interesting little fun factoid for those of you who don't know. A lot of you probably don't know who that is. Well, I say a lot of you don't know who it is because, you know, a lot of you in my audience are older and you watch these videos to be more informed necessarily versus entertainment value. A lot of his type of videos now are much more entertainment value versus like, hey, here's how you farm X, Y, and Z thing. And obviously, I love Josh Strife Hayes. I just want to make sure that people don't think I'm throwing shade at him because I think he's a great content creator. Not necessarily my niche, though, that I could wiggle into. the amount of emails that are coming through to I have a junk mail email, right? I have so many emails, it's kind of ludicrous. And the amount of emails that I am getting is absolutely ridiculous. Well, there's a Geek Squad email. I'm sure that's 100% totally legit. There's so many pizza email. Like it's like they want me to eat pizza today, right? And I just not feeling it, you know? Like I had pizza last weekend and that was enough for me, you know? It's actually crazy to think that tomorrow is also Friday. I'm also so surprised that there's still so many of you here. I was thinking that, like, as I would talk about, like, boring stuff, you know, you guys would start to trickle out or go watch the beginning of the stream or get a synopsis, but it's, like, going back up. So thank you guys for being here versus, you know, watching Deltia's stream, I guess. It probably is more beneficial for you to watch Deltia's stream because you get the crown crate and then you get the emote. So you guys probably should go there, but, you know, I appreciate that you're here very much. Here's a question. All right, if any of you guys are Premier League soccer fans, any thoughts on which jerseys I should add to my background? So hopefully, you know, assuming the housing market stays as explosive as it is, I should be buying an actual house. Chelsea, oh no. And then I'm going to have a whole room dedicated to streaming, so it'll be a little bit easier to finagle some of the things and make it look a little nicer. And I really like the soccer jerseys. I don't know. I don't think I could do Chelsea. Well, I'm glad that you prefer the chilled atmosphere. I'm glad I can entertain you guys. This one's a Steven Gerrard jersey signed, and then the one next to it is a Norwich City jersey. For those of you who don't know, I don't think any of you do because I don't think I've ever said this to any of you. My dad was in the military, so I grew up for part of my life in England. And I became a very staunch supporter of Liverpool because I really like their mantra, "You never walk alone." And as somebody who moved 50 bajillion times in their life, is a pretty good slogan. It's great, you know. So love that. But then Norwich. So one of our close friends there that was helping us in England is an older gentleman. Lived off base at the military outpost. He was British, and he really helped us become acclimated to, you know, English life because it's very different than living in America. Any of you guys have ever moved, you know, across even the country, you probably understand, or to other countries, you understand. And he helped us a lot with that transition. And he was a big Norwich City fan. But what's funny is Norwich City sucked when they were in the Premier League. So what he would do is he would essentially, like, you would bet against them. You know, like he would either one of two things. He'd bet against them. That way, if he lost, he would at least be like, okay, well, I got, you know, a little payout. Or if they lost, he would donate money to charity. So he was a big Norwich City fan. Unfortunately, he passed away. That was actually my motivation to buy a signed Norwich City jersey to always have kind of in the background and kind of commemorate, you know, how he helped me. And I was young at the time. I was like 12 years old. Like, so it's a big transition, you know, being in another country at such a young age because it's tough, especially Europe, because Europe is so weird. All you little weirdos that live in England, I don't know how you do it. Well, you guys just wake up here every day. Ooh. I mean, Madrid is. I mean, you know, I do respect teams like Chelsea and Madrid, and, you know, Manchester United and Barcelona, and I do respect what they've accomplished. But I do just love, like, the grassroots kind of support that Liverpool was receiving. You know, everyone shit on them when I was a fan of Liverpool. I waited over a decade. I became a Liverpool fan back in 2008. I waited a decade before they were even good. Like, that's a long time to wait. You'll never find a Manchester City fan, in my opinion, that has been a fan for that long. Manchester City fans became Manchester City fans 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when they probably got purchased. I like to imagine that, you know, their you know, owners, the little oil gurus or whatever they do, just went around and started buying fans. Like, here's $1,000, come to our matches. be a fan. Arsenal does has a nice loyal fan base. I think that Arsenal though was very disrespectful towards Wenger when he was kind of on the outs. You know, I thought that was very disrespectful. Now I understand the points that they were coming from, but also it's not like the other managers coming in were any good. It took an overhaul of the squad that took the owners to come in and spend money on. You know, it was not just a coaching thing. Now, all of that to say, I'm not saying he shouldn't have not been fired or shouldn't have, you know, been held accountable to his results. But, you know, if you remember Jurgen Klopp's, it seems like Liverpool every third season is just not very good. You know, it seems like that's where their injury crises really, you know, hit them really hard. You know, Liverpool played terribly last year for a large part of the season. And then they went on an amazing win streak at the end because they stuck with the manager and they know that he's quality. They know that he has the ability to get the best out of these players. Yes, you can worry about the new manager bounce and whatnot, but there's something to be said about a manager giving the players a sense of stability, knowing that that's going to be your manager, because then you can put pressure on them. A lot of these big teams run into problems where, you know, the star players don't want to run back. They don't want to put in the extra effort. And you look at Neymar. He's like king example of this. Once Neymar went to PSG, you think he's tracking back to play defense or tracking back to do anything? No. All he's doing is trying to get the ball in the final third and, you know, kiss his sister. That's literally all he ever wants to do. And there are some exceptions, like I think, you know, Ronaldo for a while was an exception to that, you know, as a world-class player. Messi's an example of, you know, really just being dedicated to win. But a lot of these like superstars, they let it get to them. They don't want to have to put in the hard work, and that's where I think that Liverpool, at least to me, have always been a team of putting in the work. Before you become like, you know, oh, we're a superstar, we're just gonna win because we're all fancy and smancy. You know, we put pressure on the ball. You know, we consistently grind out games. You know, we don't give up until the game's officially over. As a Liverpool fan, I watched the Barcelona 4-0 comeback that, you know, made them win 4-3 on aggregate. You will never find a time that more Liverpool fans have been, you know, just absolutely ecstatic in their lives. And it's because, I mean, obviously, like, winning the Champions League is more important than winning, you know, the semifinals or whatever. But to come back and beat, you know, what was allegedly the best team in the world with a 3-goal deficit was incredible. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it is ridiculous to get Messi tickets. Like, it's funny because I always just say, like, I don't understand how America, the NFL, is so expensive. And they go, oh, you know, there's less games per season, you know, blah, blah, blah. Stadiums are more expensive, whatever. And then as soon as Messi comes to America, now soccer games go from cheap as hell to super expensive. I'm like, what the fuck, people? I'm like, does American sports just ruin everything? You know? Oh, this has become a large tangent about soccer. But I appreciate that you guys are all still here, you know. I really appreciate that. You know, how are all your guys' day going? You know, you guys having good days? Guys' work not too bad? You guys done with work? Got to go back to work? What are your guys' schedules like for that? Very good day. Well, that's good. How's everybody else's day going? Good news? Any exciting news to share? Anyone has? Is grinding Telvar for the polymorph worth it? Honestly, probably not. I think it looks ugly. But that's also a matter of opinion. So that's one of those things where it's like, you know... Like, I wouldn't discourage you from doing it, but I look at it and I'm like, I don't really want that, you know? I'm in New Zealand. It says 9 a.m. and I'm a chef, so I don't start work for a while. That's cool. I always hated later work schedules. I always liked getting work over with and then going home, and then you could just stress the rest of the day about the next day. Listening while I finish up the day, I work from home so I can listen without bothering anyone. Well, that's cool. I saw them for 700K in the traders, but they only cost 250 televar. Yeah, if you look at the problem though with them is more so you need to make sure that you're finding people who are willing to purchase them. So it's not always an item being valuable. There has to be a good enough market for it. And there is an okay market for them, but if you're looking to convert your televar, there's just better ways to do it. And that's the unfortunate piece of it. And I do wish that there was like a sometimes I wish that you could like convert rare items just into straight gold or other materials or currencies. Like, oh, you got this rare furniture piece, let me be able to sell it. I wish that there was more of that. How much penetration do I need for a PvE on my Stam Nightblade? I think it's like, what, 6,000 to 8,000, I think, is usually the number that they go with. Does that sound right? 6,000? Does it sound right to anybody? I don't think you need a lot of penetration, if I'm not mistaken. Especially on a Nightblade. I think 6,000 sounds normal. Because a lot of PvE is focused more on crit, obviously, crit damage, crit, stuff like that. I'm just glad too that finally some of your chats are finally coming up on this chat log. What's crazy is I pay, like a monthly fee, like a pretty decent one, to have Streamlabs, all work out here. And half the time, it doesn't work very well. The Timbercoat costume is good. The Timbercoat has another problem with it too, in that when you have an item that's been out for so long, pretty much everyone that wants to have it already has it. So over time, it becomes less and less and less valuable. Phew, I made it. Welcome back. I think you were here earlier. We were just kind of winding down the stream, ironically, and we've just kind of actually been endlessly distracted. Ironically. Still selling for a 400K. Yeah, I think that's it's about what it's going for. But it's crazy because when I was looking at it, like even like a year and a half ago, it was like 1 mil, and it just keeps sliding down, which is crazy because if you think about the time investment to get the Timbercrow costume, that's a long time investment. I am going to get going here soon. Does anyone else have any questions? Other things I can answer? Yeah, even 5 minutes though. When you think about it, how many of those days you have to do. Whew. I had to drive to work, easy night, no problem. Well, that's good. I suggest rewatching the beginning if you guys want to see the kind of the nitty gritty. Obviously, though, I'll do a lot of subsequent follow-up videos on the specifics if you're interested more in like one specific thing, like Endless Archive or the new Transmute Station. Those will all be separate things that I discuss. I do have to space them out. I probably will also do like a grand update 40 guide that kind of goes over everything. So that'll be coming out here sometime soon. But I was happy to spend today with you. Sorry for the distractions throughout, occasionally having to look at both of my phones because when you get approved to not be working, the work will find you, fortunately. Darn too late. Well, you're here right now. That's what's important to see, man. Which is... That's a funny name to say out loud. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you were able to come by, at least for the little bit. If you guys are here and you haven't yet, if you don't mind, hit the like button. It does help kind of push the old live streams off to more people. I would appreciate that. But more importantly, I'm just happy that you're here. I want to thank you guys again for coming by and spending time with me here, and making a lot of subsequent videos. And happy to see you, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys. I can't find the ending screen. Oh, there it is. Shoo. Oh. I love you too, C-Man. All right, guys. I'll see you.